Try pausing for just a moment and imagine a life where you no longer have to chase after anyone, no more seeking approval, no more craving recognition. A life where your peace is no longer disturbed by the noise out there and not shaken by someone else's glance or words. Can you picture it? Every morning, instead of waking up to the chaos of the world, you rise to a quiet voice within you. A voice that's always been there, only you've been too busy to hear it. And now, imagine something else. You're alone, but not lonely. You've let go of what once held you back, the things that no longer serve your inner peace. In that silence, something extraordinary awakens. Clarity, strength, and truth. It's in this stillness that you begin to rediscover your true self. Buddhism teaches that deep transformation rarely happens when we're busy in the crowd. It begins in solitude, when your soul finally has space to breathe. When was the last time you truly listened to yourself? Many people fear silence, yet silence is the most powerful medicine of all. In the quiet, there's no pretending, no forcing. And that's the moment you begin rebuilding yourself from the inside out. And this is only the beginning, because right now, you're about to discover 12 Buddhist principles with the power to reshape your mind, renew your spirit, and guide you back to your most authentic self. These are not abstract theories, they are practical truths. Each principle is like a brick, rebuilding the foundation of peace and freedom within you. So, are you ready? Ready to step onto the path of transformation, starting right now with these 12 timeless Buddhist teachings? 1. Let go of the illusion of control. Have you noticed that most of our suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from how tightly we cling to them? I have a friend, a devoted mother. She wanted her children to behave exactly as she expected, and her husband to always understand her needs without fail. But when things didn't go as planned, disappointment and anger consumed her, leaving her powerless. Does that sound familiar? The truth is, we cannot control what others think, say, or do. We cannot force life to unfold the way we want. Life is uncertain. People are imperfect. Circumstances change, often without warning. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." At first, it sounds simple, but if you reflect deeply, you'll realize it's a key to freedom. The tighter we hold onto expectations, the more we suffer when they're unmet. But when we loosen our grip, something miraculous happens. We begin to see life as it really is, not as we demand it to be. Instead of trying to fix everyone, instead of exhausting ourselves controlling outcomes, we learn to breathe, accept, and let things pass in silence. Letting go doesn't mean weakness. It's actually quiet strength. Because when we stop fighting reality, we stop hurting ourselves. We realize there's one thing we always have power over: our own response. We cannot control the rain, but we can open an umbrella or simply smile and stand in it. And that's the first step of the 12 Buddhist principles that can change your life instantly. Let go of the illusion of control. When you dare to release it, you don't lose anything. You only gain freedom, wisdom, and strength like never before. 2. Sit with yourself, not with distractions. Have you noticed how, whenever you feel sad or anxious, your hand unconsciously reaches for your phone? With just one tap, an entire world opens: news, social media, music, videos. And instead of facing your sadness, you escape from it. It feels harmless. But the more we avoid, the further we drift from our own soul. I once knew someone who, after a deep loss, drowned himself in work, in entertainment, in anything that could fill the void. On the surface, he smiled and stayed busy. But inside, the emptiness was never heard. And one day, when the distractions fell away, the loneliness roared louder than ever. The Buddha taught that real healing begins only when we are brave enough to sit down with ourselves, not with the noise, not with the distractions, but in silence. Why is this so important? Because beneath the noise lies truth. Beneath the discomfort lies clarity. The emotions you've buried, sadness, regret, longing, they're not here to destroy you. They're here to guide you. So next time, instead of reaching for a song or a video to fill the silence, just sit. Don't call anyone. Don't scroll the screen. Let the silence, even if it feels awkward, simply exist. You may notice your heartbeat racing, memories surfacing, but watch them like clouds drifting across the sky, appearing, then fading. No judgment, no resistance, just listening. And in that moment, you'll discover something profound. You are not empty. You've just never truly been heard. You are not broken. You are simply on your way back home. Presence, when there's nothing left to run from, will remind you of who you are. And that is where transformation begins. 3. Embrace pain as your rebirth. Have you ever noticed that the moments which shape us the most often arrive disguised as pain? We grow up believing happiness is the goal and suffering is the enemy. But in the Buddha's teaching, suffering is not a sentence. It is a messenger knocking on the door of your soul, showing you what needs to be seen and what needs to be released. I remember a friend who went through a great collapse. His career crumbled and his family fractured. He told me there were times it felt as if the entire world had fallen apart beneath him. And yet, in that very breaking, he realized he had been running too fast after things that didn't truly matter. Pain became his mirror, showing him what was real: love, presence, and gratitude. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful image. A seed must crack open in order to sprout. The breaking may look like destruction, but it is the birth of new life. We are no different. When the heart breaks, it is not there to punish you. It is there to recreate you. When you sit with your pain, not fleeing, not numbing, you begin to hear the message within it. You may discover that failure doesn't kill you. It teaches resilience. That loss doesn't take everything. It reveals what cannot be replaced. That silence is not frightening. It is the doorway to the parts of you longing to be healed. And here lies the key. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this here to teach me?" That single question changes everything. Pain no longer chains you, it gives you wings. The most peaceful people you've ever met are not those who have never suffered. They are the ones who sat with their suffering, faced it with courage, and allowed it to transform them. So don't rush to avoid it. Let pain burn away the weaker, fearful version of you. And from the ashes, a wiser, stronger self will rise. That is the beauty of suffering. Faced with mindfulness, it doesn't just break you. It rebirths you. 4. Simplify life. Elevate spirit. Do you ever feel like you're caught in a wheel that never stops turning? Doing more, buying more, connecting more, and in the end, feeling only more exhausted? The modern world whispers in our ears, you need more success, more money, more attention. But have you ever asked yourself, does that more actually bring peace? In Buddhism, simplicity is not weakness or loss. It is strength, the clarity of coming home to what truly matters. The Buddha taught, craving is the root of suffering. Not just craving for possessions, but for fame, for attention, for all the endless distractions that pull us away from our essence. And the paradox is this: the path to freedom is not about adding more, it is about subtracting. Ask yourself, what is truly necessary for my peace? Maybe it's a tidy room instead of one filled with unused things. Maybe it's a schedule with breathing space instead of endless appointments. Maybe it's a few genuine relationships instead of dozens of shallow ones. And most of all, a mind free of thousands of restless thoughts. When you clear away the excess, something magical happens. Fewer things, yet more space. Less noise, yet more silence. Less busyness, yet more time to listen to your own heart. Simplicity doesn't mean giving up joy. It means letting go of what never brought you joy in the first place. Imagine this. Each time you release an old habit, a useless object, or a toxic relationship, you open a new space inside yourself. A sacred space for rest, for clarity, for your spirit to rise beyond the endless demands. And you can start today. Slow down. Clear one corner of your home. Turn down the noise. Notice your breath. When life becomes simple, you'll see clearly. This is when you truly shine as your fullest self. 5. Become the observer, not the reactor. Have you ever been in this situation? Someone says something hurtful, and instantly you react. Maybe with anger, maybe with silence, while your heart is burning inside. Or when an old fear resurfaces, your chest tightens, your mind races, and you feel out of control. We've all been there. We react automatically, only to regret it later. But Buddhism teaches something powerful. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. It sounds simple, but in reality, most people forget. They let anger drag them away, fear take over, sadness drown them. And the result? More suffering. The Buddha offered another way, the way of mindfulness. Instead of reacting, pause, observe. Like watching clouds drift across the sky, emotions come and go. You don't need to chase them, nor fight them. Just breathe. Just be. Of course, at first it won't be easy. The ego wants to react. The wound inside wants to scream. Fear wants to pull you into darkness. But if you can summon the courage to pause, even for a moment, you give yourself something priceless, the power of choice. You step out of unconscious reaction and step into conscious response. And here's the truth. Anger is not your enemy. Fear is not your enemy. Sadness is not your enemy. The only problem is losing yourself inside them. So next time anger rises, whisper to yourself, anger is here. When fear knocks, smile. I see you, fear. Then take a deep breath. No need to push it away. No need to fight. Let the emotion pass, like a wave touching you, but not consuming you. This is emotional mastery. This is how you stop being the victim of your mind and become its guide. Because the strongest person is not the one who reacts fastest, but the one who is still enough to choose peace over chaos. And if you practice this every day, you'll see your whole life change. No longer swept away by the storms of the mind, you become the vast sky itself, where all clouds may come and then pass away. 6. We all carry within us versions of ourselves shaped by pain, fear, rejection, or past experiences. Have you ever looked inside and realized there are many versions of you living within? Maybe there's the fearful version, the one who was abandoned, the one who was criticized, the one who heard over and over that you weren't enough. And over time, you started to believe that was who you really are. You repeat phrases like, I'm just an anxious person. I always mess things up. I was born this way. But here's the truth. That self is just a layer of clothing. It is not your true essence. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent, even the identity you cling to. That means you can change. You can be reborn in this very lifetime. You don't need to wait until the next. The self can evolve. It can be rebuilt. But to step into the new, you must be willing to let go of the old version, the one who doubts, the one who shrinks, just to be accepted, the one who repeats the same story of pain. And listen, you don't have to hate those versions of yourself. They once protected you. They helped you survive in the only way they knew how. But today, you stand at a new doorway, the doorway of maturity. To grow means to gently lay down the identity built from wounds and step into the one built from wisdom. This transformation doesn't happen in a single day. It happens in every small choice when you act as the person you want to become instead of replaying the same old habits. It begins when you speak kindly to yourself. When you stop repeating the painful stories. When you walk with your head held high, not from pride, but because you've remembered your worth. Take a deep breath. Smile. Forgive the old version. Letting go doesn't mean rejecting your past. It means honoring it, then setting it down, so your hands are free to embrace growth. So with each step, remind yourself, I am greater than my past. I have the right to become the most beautiful version of myself. 7. Learn the strength of walking alone. Have you ever felt like the whole world has turned its back on you? Friends drift away, relationships fall apart, support disappears, and you wonder, why is no one here for me? That loneliness feels heavy, like an endless void. But what if I told you that emptiness is actually a sacred gift? In Buddhism, stillness and solitude are not enemies. They are the very doors that lead you to the most important person you will ever meet, yourself. When you walk alone, there is no noise, no judgmental eyes, no pressure to play a role for others. Only then can you truly hear the voice deep within. You begin to ask, what do I really want? Not what others expect of me. We live in a society that constantly pushes connection. But connection without self-awareness only creates chaos. You say yes when you mean no. You exhaust yourself trying to please everyone while dying inside. It's only in solitude that these illusions dissolve. That's when you rediscover your dreams, your values, your strength. Remember the story of the Buddha. He left behind a palace, wealth, and even his identity as a prince to walk alone, and it was in the stillness beneath the Bodhi tree that he awakened. Because only when you face yourself, without masks, can true healing begin. Walking alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means you are strong enough to stand without anyone holding you up, when you can walk your path without waiting for applause. When you can enjoy your own presence like a dear friend, that's when you become whole. So if today you feel lost, misunderstood, or your path feels too quiet, you don't see it as punishment, see it as preparation. Because only those who learn the strength of walking alone can touch the most powerful destination of all, inner peace. 8. Choose mindfulness over multitasking. Have you ever wondered why you're always busy, doing 100 things at once, yet when you stop to reflect, your heart still feels empty? In today's world, multitasking is glorified as a superpower. People say the more you juggle, the more successful and valuable you are. But here's the truth few admit. The more you scatter your attention, the less present you are in any of it. Think about it. Have you ever eaten while scrolling on your phone? Pretended to listen to someone while rehearsing your reply in your head? Walked down the street while your mind raced through 1,000 worries? In those moments, were you really living, or just drifting through life on autopilot? The Buddha taught the opposite of multitasking. He taught mindfulness, being fully present in each moment. When you eat, just eat. When you listen, truly listen. When you walk, feel each step as if it carries all of life. Because when the mind is scattered, life becomes scattered. When your attention is divided, your energy drains. And when you rush past the moment, you miss the beauty, the wisdom, the healing life is quietly offering. Mindfulness brings you back to the present, the only moment that truly exists. It calms the nervous system, It clears the fog in your mind. It deepens your connection with the world and with yourself. Most of all, it awakens your presence. When you are truly here, you taste the subtle flavors of food. You hear the wind, the footsteps, the rhythm of your breath. You realize life isn't in the future. It's right here, now. And the more present you are, the richer life becomes. Even washing dishes can become meditation. Even sipping tea can feel sacred if you give it your full attention. So stop chasing more. Stop rushing to the next thing. Slow down. Return to this moment. Because when you quit multitasking and begin living mindfully, you don't just get things done, you return to life itself. 9. Accept what is and change what you can. Have you ever felt like you're constantly fighting against life itself? Wishing the past had been different, wishing you had chosen another path, or carrying anger, blame, and regret that trap you in a cycle of fear. In truth, this is one of the deepest roots of suffering, the endless battle against reality. The Buddha taught a principle so simple, yet so life-changing. Accept what is, and change what you can. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It doesn't mean agreeing with injustice or tolerating toxic behavior. Acceptance means you stop fighting the present moment, so that before you act, your mind is calm, clear, and wise. Imagine holding a burning stone. The tighter you grip it, the more it hurts. Only when you let go can you see the wound and begin to heal. In the same way, when you stop resisting what has already happened, you create space for wiser choices. The most important question you can ask yourself is, can I change this? If yes, take action, but act from clarity and compassion. If not, take a deep breath, release it, and trust that life unfolds in its own way. Sometimes, acceptance itself leads you to the clearest answer. And here's the truth. When you truly accept, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You stop being stuck in spirals of regret or worry. Instead, you move forward not with fear, but with a quiet peace, because peace doesn't mean life has no problems. Peace means you've found clarity within, right in the middle of them. So the next time life feels heavy, gently remind yourself, I will accept what is and change what I can. In that simple practice, a powerful strength awakens the strength to transform your life. 10. Choose compassion, even for yourself. Have you noticed how easy it is to show kindness to others, but how harsh you can be with yourself? When a friend is in pain, you comfort them with patience and gentle words. But when you stumble, that inner voice becomes your cruelest critic. You're useless. You failed again. You're never good enough. And so you carry silent shame, beating yourself down day after day. But here's the truth, you cannot grow if you're constantly attacking yourself. The Buddha taught that compassion must begin with the nearest place, your own heart. Compassion doesn't mean excusing your mistakes. It means seeing clearly. You are human. You are allowed to fall. You are allowed to be imperfect. Healing is not a straight line, and stumbling is part of the journey. Imagine a child learning to walk. When they fall, do you scold them? Or do you smile, encourage them, and help them rise again? Then why would you not offer that same kindness to yourself? Each time you make a mistake, instead of saying, I'm worthless, whisper, it's okay, I'm learning, I am still worthy. The voice you use with yourself becomes the atmosphere your soul lives in. If it's cold and harsh, your spirit shrinks. If it's gentle and loving, your spirit blossoms. People often think compassion is weakness, but it isn't. Compassion is one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate, because when you stop fighting yourself, you finally have the space to grow. Even in your darkest moments, you are not broken, you are becoming. Even in chaos, you are not a failure, you are simply unfinished. So right now, pause, place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can. I'm learning. I am worthy of love, even from myself. In that moment, transformation begins, not through force, but through gentle understanding. The path of healing is not paved with judgment. It is built step by step, breath by breath, with compassion. Break the loop by breaking the thought. Have you ever noticed it's the same repeating thoughts in your head that create the cycle making you feel stuck? Every day, thousands of thoughts pass through our minds, some harmless, some helpful. But then there are the toxic ones, the whispers that say, I'm not good enough. I always fail. No one really understands me. Why even try? At first, they're just passing thoughts, but the more they repeat, the more familiar they become, until they turn into beliefs. And once those beliefs take root, they shape your choices, your actions, your energy, and eventually, your entire life. The Buddha once taught, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. That means the reality you're living today, your joys, your fears, even your obstacles are reflections of the beliefs you've been holding in your mind. If you constantly think about what you lack, you'll never feel enough. If your mind is filled with anger, that anger seeps into every relationship. If fear is at the core, you'll move through life cautiously, always bracing for something bad to happen. But here's the good news. Thoughts are not absolute truth. They're just habits, patterns, created through repetition, like grooves on an old path. And anything that's been programmed can be reprogrammed. The key is awareness. You can't change if you blindly chase every thought that arises. When a painful thought appears, pause. Don't react right away. Don't believe it immediately. Instead, ask, is this thought true? Is it useful? Does it move me toward the life I want? More often than not, you'll find it's just the same old loop, a worn-out story your mind keeps replaying. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. For example, when the thought says, I always ruin everything, stop, challenge it. You might tell yourself, no, that's just an old mental habit. I've made mistakes, sure, but I've also learned. I've grown. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. That's how you break the loop, by catching the thought before it becomes a belief. But it's not enough to just notice. You have to replace it. Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I'm growing, and growth is messy. Instead of, I'll never change, remind yourself, I've already changed in ways I never thought possible. Instead of, it's too late, breathe and say, this moment is where I begin. This isn't fake positivity. This is training your mind. Just like your body needs healthy food to grow, your mind needs nourishing thoughts to heal, and it takes patience. These old loops didn't form overnight. They were built over years of trauma, pressure, and pain. So be gentle with yourself as you rewire. Each time you interrupt a negative thought, you weaken its grip. Each time you choose a new thought, you strengthen a new pathway in your brain. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself. But Buddhism has taught this for thousands of years, through meditation. When you sit in silence, you begin to see the noise in your head. You notice the same old stories looping. And in that quiet, you discover space. Space to choose, to release, to breathe, instead of react. Over time, that conscious choice becomes natural. You no longer believe every thought. You become the observer, not the prisoner. You start thinking with intention instead of by habit. And that's where real transformation begins. Because when thoughts change, beliefs change. When beliefs change, your energy shifts. When energy shifts, actions shift. And when actions shift, your entire life transforms. So, if you feel stuck in fear, anger, or sadness, come back to your thoughts. Ask, what story am I telling myself? What am I still clinging to that's no longer true? And most importantly, what new thought will I choose today? Healing doesn't start with a new job, a new person, or a new situation. It starts with a new thought. And the moment you choose that thought, you begin breaking the loop and creating a new world for yourself. 12. Return to the breath. It's your anchor. Have you noticed through all the chaos, the anxiety, the fear, there's one thing that has quietly stayed with you, never leaving? Your breath. It's been there from the moment you were born until the moment you'll take your last. And here's the miracle. By simply returning to your breath, you can find peace even in the storm of life. It sounds too simple, maybe even trivial. But in Buddhism, breath is more than air moving in and out of the lungs. It's the anchor that tethers you to the present, the bridge between body, mind, and spirit. Think about it. When your mind is restless, it usually drags you into the past where you keep replaying mistakes, or it throws you into the future, imagining the worst possible outcomes. And just like that, you lose the present moment. But the breath is different. It only exists in now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, only here, only this moment. When you bring your attention to the breath, you're bringing yourself home to the house of peace. For thousands of years, monks have used the breath as a path to awakening. Because it's simple, but its power is immense. You don't need money. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect setting. You just need to stop and breathe. When you do, your body shifts, the nervous system calms, the heart slows. The mind stops screaming, and you become a still point in the middle of the storm. Try it with me right now. Inhale, deeply, slowly. Hold for a moment, then exhale. Feel the air move in, move out, like a wave returning to the ocean. With just one conscious breath, you've already changed. The important thing to realize is this: you are not your thoughts. You are not your fear. You are the one who breathes. When anger flares, return to the breath. When anxiety tightens your chest, return to the breath. It won't erase the situation, but it will give you space. Space not to react unconsciously, but to choose wisely. In Buddhist teachings, breath carries prana life energy. Shallow, rapid breathing scatters that energy. Deep, intentional breathing brings steadiness and awareness. And today, science confirms it. Mindful breathing reduces stress hormones, strengthens emotional resilience, even boosts the immune system. But maybe the deepest truth isn't found in science. It's in this: breath is your direct connection to life itself. The first thing you did when you arrived here was inhale. The last thing you'll do before you leave is exhale. Everything in between is simply a chance to begin again. So when life feels overwhelming, don't look outside. Just pause. Place a hand on your heart and breathe. Let the breath become a prayer. Let it carry away your stress and remind you, you are here, you are alive, and this moment is enough. Make it a daily practice. In the morning, before the world starts speaking to you, breathe. At night, before leaving the day behind, breathe. In the middle of work, before reacting or saying something you might regret, stop and breathe. Even a single mindful breath can change your entire state of being. Because when you master your breath, you begin to master your mind. And when your mind is free, your whole life transforms. So, return to the breath again and again. Let it be your anchor, your teacher, your quiet refuge. In the stillness between an inhale and an exhale, you'll discover your true nature. Not broken, not lacking, but whole, present, and at peace. That is transformation. That is Buddhist wisdom, simple yet profound, waiting for you to experience it in this very breath.